Good morning. I'm Commissioner Ed Rothstein. It is now December 2nd, and we are into the holiday season. Hopefully, everybody had a very healthy and happy Thanksgiving with family and friends, and are walking themselves into a very happy holiday season and happy Hanukkah. It's the fifth day, going on the fifth evening of Hanukkah. So those celebrating, wishing you a very happy Hanukkah with family and friends. As we always do, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence, and then we'll get started. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Before we individually get into our priority carol, we have I'd like to say a special guest, but a teammate of ours that wants to, or that we'd like to hear from and share what's going on in the county and everything COVID. So, Sue, if you can come on up to the table, I really appreciate it. As the acting director of our health department. Good morning.
Good morning.
My first time here, so I'm going to give you an update on what we're doing with COVID and what we learned yesterday, which
Okay.
I'm sure you all want to hear a little bit more about, and I can tell you what we know so far.
Absolutely.
I think we have slides Maggie sent.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
would
they are
imagine
loaded.
you just give it a second.
They're loaded on there. They're minimized.
Oh,
They're coming.
I have to do something.
Oh.
Yep.
PowerPoint.
You're in control. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. See, I'm going to learn something today.
There you go.
Yay.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. So this is our December 2nd update. We did wait to the last minute, and I apologize because we wanted to add some stuff that we learned yesterday afternoon, at least to give you an update on what's going on. So we did have a slight decrease from last week in our total new cases. We're not really sure if that's related to people who were traveling, so there was less testing, or that people didn't get tested in this area. Our positivity rate remains substantial at 9.2%, which is up 1.6% from last week. CDC transmission level data keeps us in high transmission. We're right here. We're among friends, apparently. We just can't seem to get out of that. So, this is from our dashboard on our website. It kind of gives you much of this data is in 14-day gaps. This data is weekly. So we update our website weekly, and it just tells you the total number of cases are 12,680, got 304 deaths, which is up 2, and I will show that in another slide. And our 7-day moving average case rate is 20.95, where transmission rate remains high. Cases for this report week were a smidge down. Not a lot, but encouraging. So we're going to keep looking at that. We'll make sure there's nothing else I wanted to cover on that one. The 14-day rolling total, you can see, was again a down. Slide shows that there was a decrease in cases in every age range except for the over 65 age range. What accounts for that is that most of those individuals also have other chronic or other like autoimmune diseases that make them more susceptible to getting breakthrough cases. We're hoping that now that we have boosters and everybody's been boosted, that number will also start coming down. Post-vaccination. So although we're seeing some breakthrough cases, what I wanted to point out here is that the majority of the breakthrough cases that we're seeing are in unvaccinated people. And the important thing, because I had an aha moment yesterday when I sat with the team, to understand this, was that our number of people vaccinated is increasing, which means our number of people unvaccinated is decreasing. So there's a larger percentage of people unvaccinated who are having the breakthrough cases. So it's a smaller pot of people, but a larger number of people in that smaller pot. So we wanted to make sure. All of a sudden they looked at me and we all had masks on and they were like, "You just had an aha moment." I was like, "Yeah, finally, it just came to me that's, we want to understand that, if there's 100 people and 10 more are vaccinated, then we're down to 90, and those 90 people account for more of the cases."
Interesting way to the numbers work there. Does that
Yes.
include the boosters, Sue? Or
These are just fully vaccinated people. So our
Okay.
fully vaccinated, not everybody's been boosted yet. And I'll get to
okay,
that in
okay.
a second because we're going to run some more clinics.
Okay.
Our post-vaccination case rates, you can see, I didn't even have anything on this slide. So it just kind of shows that we have a little bit of an increase. We're looking at what the holidays are going to do to us. We're not sure how many people traveled. So they may have gotten tested for traveling purposes. They might not have been tested inside the county. So the data that we had from last week, we're kind of taking with a grain of salt because there were a lot of increases in some instances, not in COVID data, but in like absenteeism data from the school system. And we think that's attributed to the fact that people a lot of times pull the kids out of school for vacations or holiday gatherings. So we don't want to attribute the absentee rates to COVID or illness. So we were looking at that. Hospitalizations went up 3 over the last 2-week period of time. And then the hospitalizations and the death by age group, you'll see here the 2 were in the over 65
Are the
group.
hospitalizations, are you aware if Carol is handling the
My
amount?
understanding is that
the
they
numbers?
have been able to handle,
Okay,
because we do communicate with the
Yeah.
hospital
okay.
to find out what's going on
Okay.
there.
I will
Thanks.
tell you that, not to get off track here a little
Uh-huh.
bit, but Director Robinson shared with the group at my community meeting
Uh-huh.
Tuesday night that the hospital's been on reroute almost every single day for the
Right.
last week or two. And he actually physically went over there and helped try to clear some of the ambulances on Monday or
Apparently,
Tuesday.
the ambulances have been there for about an average of 3 hours.
Yeah.
For each
To get
drop-off,
somebody
and
into
it's
the-
been
Yeah, to
problematic.
get them off cots.
Yeah.
And it's really creating
Um,
a problem as we're getting
Yeah,
more mutual aid into the county. But
exactly.
it's not just Carroll, it's happening in every
Right.
hospital. Ambulances are being backed up big time. So I
Yeah,
know they're struggling over there, big time.
I think part of that struggle, and I've heard this before, and we know this because in my other life I did behavioral health, has been in the number of behavioral health people that they're boarding in the emergency room,
right.
waiting for a bed to
Right.
become available, and we need to resolve that issue. Statewide, it's not just a
Right.
Carroll
Right.
issue. That's a statewide issue.
But the challenge is it's not going to get resolved until we lessen the impact of COVID-19.
Correct.
And,
This
you know,
is not
it's the same thing.
helped the issue.
No, right. It's the same thing with, surgeries that are not going to occur because of COVID-19. It's also the impact of not being able to test for cancer because of COVID-19. I mean, I have, very personal, issues with that because my father had an issue, was stuck in the emergency room because of COVID-19. We're taking up all the beds. So until we do something about this, the impact is in so many other areas.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yeah.
And it's
Don't have a
it's not
car
an
accident.
easy fix
Yeah.
right
What's
now.
Don't have a car accident.
Yeah.
No,
that-
serious. I mean,
Well, and there's also, and we're kind of getting off track, but there's also, a big push to ensure the mindsets of folks on when indeed you need to call 911 for
Mhm.
transport.
Right.
Because there's a lot of folks that are just automatically doing that and as they are accustomed to, and that's really creating a problem too. So I know that Director Robinson's working on that as well. Roberta, you heard that Tuesday night. So
And we have not had a chance to meet with him yet because we had some ideas on
Right.
trying to assist with that, where we could get EMTs or paramedics to go out to the high use, high utilizers and actually, do an assessment and get them linked and with a primary care provider or a specialist that needs to be seen by them.
Yeah.
So that, we'll follow up on all those other efforts we were
Excellent.
working on
Yep.
previously. Okay. Deaths by week. This data is always probable, so sometimes the numbers change.
Right.
We did have a slight that all of the deaths happened in the community. None of them were facility related.
Good.
Meaning they
I'm
were in
glad
the
you mentioned
hospital.
that because I want to ask, since, the first assisted living facilities deaths were in my district about that.
Yes.
How are we doing? Because they are the most vulnerable of our citizenry. It looks like you guys are doing a phenomenal job.
So all of the assisted livings and the nursing homes have been set up with pharmacy assistants. So they're doing all of their own boosters, or the pharmacy is coming in and doing those boosters for them. We are now working through some of the senior housing that we assisted with and Carroll Hospital assisted with to make sure that those individuals who aren't technically homebound, but it would be easier for us to take the the booster shots to them than it would be for them to get to a community event. So we currently, we've restructured a little in the health department. We have a COVID-19 team. So we have a director and an assistant director, and we have kind of put those functions on those two individuals so that the other individuals can actually do some of their own duties and then just oversee that these functions.
I
are
like how
happening.
proactive your office has been because it's showing in those numbers right there that it's having positive results.
Yeah, and we're very happy that there's no facility related cases.
So
Thank
key
you.
to success is getting vaccinated.
The key to success is getting vaccinated, and that'll show later on, I think, in one of these slides.
Shocking.
So this is just the health department. So we did 28,909 first doses. We've done a little bit less in second doses, and then we've done the third doses or booster shots 2,491. I don't want you to think that that's all of the boosters that have gone out there, but originally the vaccines came to the health department, and we were tasked with making sure that we got that out. These are now much more community wide. You can go to just about any pharmacy and get the 5 to 11 or the adult vaccinations or boosters for any age range. So, and I know that they are doing those because the state is looking at the 5 to 11 data. And even though the priority was the health departments, because we were working with the schools on school-based clinics, they're now looking a month in at the data and saying, okay, we can right size this. We have more community providers that are able to get their vaccines out, so we can give them some more so that they can get to the people. A lot of with the 5 to 11, what we have to remember is that the parents of these children oftentimes want to be with them or want to be with their healthcare provider that they trust. And it is a trusted resource to them to give them information and tell them that this is all okay. So, we know that, the 5 to 11, although our clinics have all been full, there's also other efforts going on out there. And I think there's all 7, if I'm not mistaken, of the top pharmacies in the county have the 5 to 11 vaccine. It doesn't mean that like every CVS or every Walgreens is going to have it, but at least one in the county has the 5 to 11. All of those resources are on our webpage.
Excuse me, with that chart. So are you insinuating, or I'm getting it correct, that there's private service
go back to
providers
previous,
giving
so you
vaccinations
would-
that we're not registering or tracking, or do
I'm
they
sorry,
all
what?
When someone goes to a private medical provider and they get a vaccination outside the health department, does that show up in this data, or is that?
That does not show up in this slide.
So we potentially have more vaccinations than shown here. That's what I was trying to figure
We do.
out. Okay.
And I can get that data for you because the state has given us the data.
Very good. That
for-
helps gives a view overall.
Well, we also know that LifeBridge did a good bit of the Pfizer
Good.
vaccinations when we first started. So that was a much more difficult vaccine in the beginning with the cold control
Mhm.
and those things. In the hospital
handling
had
it,
the
logistics.
technology and the equipment to handle it, so we didn't have to incur extra expenses. So we're making inroads here. As you see, all the numbers are going in the right direction for fully vaccinated and for partially vaccinated. They're going up every week, so that's what we want to see. As far as the age groups, the new age group to look at is the 5 to 9. We have 22% of the 5 to 9 population in Carroll County vaccinated, so that is impressive. We still lag behind here in the lower, that those vaccines were later to come out. And I know there's some hesitancy about parents wanting to get their kids vaccinated. We've actually had kids that have wanted to get vaccinated and their parents didn't want them to. So we've been working through those issues, depending on age and educating the parents on that.
Is the brunt of our fatality still in the 65 plus range?
Correct. And like I said earlier, that really has to do with more comorbid conditions and chronic conditions that are in that population. So that we're still encouraging proper hand washing, wearing masks when you're in public places, people testing before they go to see their loved ones, so that they don't expose them. This is our COVID-19 vaccination by ethnicity. You can see that we're doing a pretty good job in all areas. Our Hispanic, our non-Hispanic white is our largest population in the county, and the 2 zip codes that we have been told by the state to focus on are Westminster and the Sykesville area. And clearly that's because that's where the largest population is. So those are the areas that, we have the health department clinic, and then we've been having booster clinics in the south part of the county. So those are where we're doing a little bit more effort. So we are providing testing at the health department Tuesday and Friday from 9 to 3 and Wednesdays from 1 to 6. It's on the side of the building right now. So if people are listening or you all need to direct people, the RV is is in the shop right now. So we're not doing it in the back part of the parking lot. It's on the side of our building in between the Moton Center. So,
and that's drive through, right?
They drive up, we come out and test. And we also have home test kits that were made available to us by the state. We had 846. We got those out. We received another batch this week. We're working with the libraries to make sure we're not like the only point that people have to come to the health department to get it. So we're currently working with the libraries and maybe some firehouses or some other areas in the county so that we make sure that people have easy access and it's not a 12 or 15 minute trip for them. We will be continuing to get those from the state, and we are looking into purchasing some additional. We're accountable to the state for how we're getting the batches out that we're getting from them, but the ones that we would be able to make some extra use of or use for special circumstances if we had an incident that we wanted to test more people. All right, our vaccine clinics are, let's see, what days are we doing these? We do Pfizer and J&J at the health department. Tuesdays 10 to 12 and Fridays 1 to 3. If somebody comes in and they need a Moderna booster or shot, we'll do that also. But right now, our Moderna clinics have been out in the community because that was Moderna was the vaccine that we used the most at the health department. So those 50,000 shots that you saw given were all Moderna by us. So we want to make sure we go back out into the community. We can't do 500 people through the health department in a day. We do 500 people in 4 hours out in the community. So that's the easiest way for us to do that. Who's eligible? So the booster shots became eligible for everybody over the age of, I guess, what is that, 12 now? 18, excuse me. 18. So Pfizer and Moderna are at 6 months after your second dose. So we were a little bit behind on getting that because the recommendation didn't come out until well after most of our individuals were 8 or 9 months of second vaccine. J&J is 2 months after the single dose. Our next clinic out in the community is today from 2 to 6:30. It's at Winfield. We will be going back now that the booster shots were recommended for everybody over the age of 18, planning another batch of booster clinics around the county so that we can get out to the outlying areas and make those available. Okay, what should we got here? Vaccination for children, the 5 to 11 group is now recommended by the CDC. We're actually this week we started our second dose clinics for 5 to 11. So as you saw, about 22% of that population is already vaccinated. And I would, I guess, venture to say that about a fifth of those have been fully vaccinated, because each one of those clinics was 500. So we have December 15th and December 16th clinics coming up. And then we will be looking at the data and working with the state to see if we're going to do another round of 5 to 11. Omicron, the not so good news from yesterday. So we do have a case in the United States. It is in California. Those individuals did travel from one of the countries where this variant has been seen. There are many more mutations with this variant than with Delta. It's very different. What we do know is that right now the PCR testing is picking up this variant, so that is actually good news. What we don't know is the effectiveness of the vaccines that we currently have on this. One of the other things that we do know is that this looks like it may be more likely that people will get reinfected with this variant. So you can get it and then get it again within 30 days is what it's looking like. We don't know a lot. There's a lot of unknowns. What we will be doing is providing you with updates probably weekly on anything that we do learn. I know the governor had a press conference yesterday. I know that the state is looking to see whether or not the home testing kits and the rapid testing kits are going to pick up this variant or not. So that might change some of the recommendations as we move forward. So again, wearing masks in public, indoor settings, in areas of substantial or high transmission, which we are in, washing your hands, avoiding crowds, getting tested after an exposure if you have symptoms, and then travelers, that did change yesterday. So international travelers, if you're fully vaccinated, have to have a COVID test within 3 days. If you're not fully vaccinated, you have to have a COVID test within 1 day. And they are recommending that when you return from international travel, that you self-quarantine and that you test 3 to 5 days after you return. So that's what I know for now. There is a travel ban also in effect. So we will keep you updated as we learn more. And I'm sure that we'll get updates weekly, so I can kind of send them in a snapshot to you as we get them, so that you have them and you're not waiting for me to come in and do another big presentation. If something huge breaks, I will reach out and make sure that we get here to answer what we can. So now, I wanted to put the question mark here on Omicron, but we're continuing our campaign using local pediatricians to do outreach to encourage family and parents to reach out to their healthcare provider and get more information on the vaccine and its safeness and those types of things. And now I'll take questions, which I might have to take back to my team, but
Yes,
I will
well,
take them.
Thanks for your presentation. You're always so happy and friendly. I want to thank you and Ms. Coombs for the photo you gave us, to honor you guys and all the work you're doing. My question is, I'm hearing a lot about the homeless population and communities everywhere increasing. Is that impacting this? I know they have usually like compromised health situations. Have we reached them? What type of outreach have we had for them?
So we've worked with Citizen Services and HSP. We have been working on ensuring that everybody knows that there are shelters available, night by night shelter and the other shelters, and there is an increase in vouchers for housing, and we're trying to get people out of that. When we do find people in encampments, we've been moving them towards that, doing outreach. We did have some outbreaks in our shelter, and we worked very closely with the county, Citizen Services, and HSP. I do know that and I don't know where we are on this, but we did order 100 doses of J&J. Access Carol was going to go to the shelters and with the homeless population, and there was going to be an incentive for them to get. We chose J&J because it's a one and done with that population. And we have seen an increase in COVID with them, and we have lived through some trying times, but we have gotten through them, and we've learned a lot, and we've gotten closer, and we've understood. We've gotten checklists in place and things like that on what to do right away. So
Thank you. I'm glad they're not being ignored. Sometimes they're behind
No.
the scenes. There's encampments around here I didn't know about.
you
So
and me
you
both.
guys, citizen services, you all are very much aware.
We are, we have at the health department individuals that work with the outreach team from HSP. So we're very involved, and we have a person at the health department works very closely with Celine and HSP on outreach and other efforts with that population. And the health department has an interagency agreement with Access Carroll, so we are kind of together, and we understand that. So what we can do to support them and what they can do to support us and the population in the county, we're working together.
Along
on
with the
that.
sheriff's department.
Along with the sheriff's department, they were out there with us also.
That's right.
They've
And
been very helpful.
They have, and
Um,
keeping us up to date on that. Celine's been doing a great job with her team.
Absolutely.
Keeping us abreast of the issues.
I think getting that population
Yeah.
vaccinated is going to be a huge help to us.
Absolutely.
We kind of lived through a couple of scenarios where it was 2 people, 4 people, 10 people, and by the time we were done, it was miserable for all of us, and it was a 30-day challenge. It wasn't just a 10-day and we're
Yeah,
done.
and they're a sector that has potentially compromised immune systems with addiction and all that. So they're one of the more vulnerable populations in our community.
Yes.
Any-
And we have a checklist together now so that if somebody does test positive, we know exactly what has to be done and get them out of there.
Any additional questions or comments? For me, I mean, again, it's not about vulnerable populations. We're all vulnerable to this, and that's been a proven fact. I mean, it's like a full stop fact. It's also been a full stop fact that vaccinations, masks,
Mhm.
hand washing are methods to mitigate this issue and minimize the impact of COVID-19. I mean, just by that chart of confirmed cases that you shared of what's unvaxxed to what's vaxxed, it is clear indication
Yes.
that being vaccinated helps the situation. And again, the hospital concerns I have are pretty dramatic, and as
Yes.
Commissioner Wentz shared with the EMS, impact. It is a ripple effect that is just going to crush us, over this holiday season if we don't get in front of it with the vaccinations.
I guess I could add also that the
Please.
school board met, the MSDE and the State Board of Education met yesterday.
Yep.
And they are going to continue the mask mandate, but they are working on a plan that will give counties kind of off ramps, which was what we were in support of.
Yep.
If the transmission rate in the county, but we also are starting to look at some other data just so that you're aware that we heard some things from their expert panel that they put together on the rate of vaccination also playing a bigger part in the community, playing a bigger part in whether or not we can unmask in our schools. So we're
Right.
looking at that data. There's only a couple of studies that have been done that talked about rather than rates of transmission, rates of vaccination. So we're looking to do those things.
Why would folks not get vaccinated at this time?
And there's no excuse to not get vaccinated at this time. I think that everybody, I would not understand why you would not get vaccinated.
It has nothing to do with, pregnancy or the ability to have kids and any other, wild stories that we hear
No.
that are out there. I mean, I've heard on both Fox News and CNN and local stations, everybody says get vaccinated. I mean, everybody is saying it.
Yes.
I just can't figure out why
That's
we're still
our
at
way
70.
out of this is getting more people vaccinated.
So the reason we're at 71% is not because of the ability to get vaccinated, but because of
Choice.
folks that are still having to choose on whether to get or not get. But there's, in your opinion, no reason not to get vaccinated.
Absolutely not.
I'm seeing firsthand locally in my community, all of a sudden unvaccinated, people coming down with COVID like crazy. And I have a neighbor who's in the hospital. They called his wife in last night. I don't know the outcome, but they didn't expect him to live long. And he was totally healthy. I don't need this. It's a hoax. I'm not going to do it. He's going to pay the price.
There are some people who have had reactions to the first shot and they've been recommended not to get the second shot. And, and we're working with those people on making sure they get tested for their work purposes, and things like that. And,
Okay.
but at this point, if you're vaccinated and you do get a breakthrough case, you're much less likely. I mean, clearly they're saying you're not going to die, but they're much less likely to have severe symptoms that require hospitalization at this point.
It's not about
Now
life and death.
That doesn't account for
Yeah.
people with underlying conditions or
Right.
chronic conditions
Sure.
that really complicate matters. And that would be with any, people
Yeah.
could get the flu and be elderly and have many chronic conditions, and it would complicate that and could cause death. So
Now, are some people up to their third vaccination within this first year?
yes,
Okay. Now, are they going to have to do this in perpetuity for the rest of their life, 3 shots every year?
that has
People are
not,
asking-
that has not been established. Right now, they're only recommending boosters. That was it. That they saw that the efficacy of the vaccine, the effects of the vaccine kind of waned a little with time, and this booster was going to support that. There is no implications at this time that it's going to be a yearly thing, like the flu shot is.
So that's
And the
okay. So-
reason that the flu shot is that way, and is that every year, the flu shot is a guess. So they kind of guess at what they think next year's flu is going to look out. And they do that over the course of looking at years of what the components of the disease has been. So sometimes the flu shot's much more effective than it is in other years. But with this, Omicron might change all of this. And that's why I'm hesitant. But at this point, what we've been told and what all of the literature that I've read has said is that this booster was it, except if you're an immunocompromised person, people who are going through chemotherapy or some things like that may need a 4th shot. They are recommending that. I mean, I sit here as somebody who has had 3 shots. So I'm immunocompromised. I had my 3rd dose. I had it before. Boosters were even recommended because 3rd shots were. So
potentially people could just settle into like getting an annual flu shot. They could have just like their annual COVID shot.
if that's what happens from Omicron at this point, with the variants we have, Delta and the original mu, they're not, the booster shot is going to hold, that's what everybody is saying. Now Omicron might throw a whole.
There's a lot of uncertainty out there.
Any variants cause us difficulty, and that was the race to get everybody or as many people vaccinated as we could before all of these variants were able to come about.
Right, because if we had been vaccinated prior, Omicron wouldn't even be here.
Might not.
Right, we wouldn't have to worry about it. The more unvaccinated people out there, the more chance you have for more variants to come up that we're not effective against. That's why the getting vaccinated is so important. I went the other day to CVS Pharmacy, not that I'm endorsing them. I went the other day to CVS Pharmacy and got my booster shot. When I got my booster, there was a couple people ahead of me getting shots. I don't know if they're getting boosters or regular. I don't know that. And then when I left, there was another person. So it wasn't like a line, but there was constant people getting these shots, and it was very encouraging to see people out there getting vaccinated. The only way, and I'm not a health officer, but the only way we're going to get this under control is to get vaccinated, get everyone out there. The more people that aren't vaccinated, the more cases we have of this, the more mutations you're going to have. And we might run up against a mutation that the vaccination will not be effective. And then what happens? That puts us back in square one. We don't want that to happen. People have to get vaccinated. And I do not understand the hesitancy of getting, can't pronounce it either, but of getting vaccinated, because it doesn't make sense. Help everyone out.
understand,
Get
and
vaccinated.
yes.
Even if you don't believe it for yourself, help your family out.
And most of what we're looking at when I look at other counties' data is most of the transmission is happening in households. It's a household to household transmission. It's really, there's not a lot
It's your
community.
intimacy in a
Correct.
household.
So somebody, gets COVID somewhere and then comes back to the household and spreads it to the rest of the family. So you're getting a lot, you don't know where the original
Right.
COVID came from, but being in that close household environment, you don't wear masks, your family, you're sitting very close together, those types of things causes.
Around the
Yeah.
dinner table. I mean, they go from the grocery store to the dinner table. But if they are vaccinated, going from the grocery store to the dinner table and everybody's vaccinated, the likelihood is much less. And if it does happen, the likelihood of getting sick is much, much less.
And I feel in a much better spot now that we're vaccinating the little ones.
Absolutely.
Because I kind of feel like, even though people will have differing opinions, that they're not the ones carrying it and they don't get sick and they're not accounting for the deaths, we know that that's not true, that they do carry it and they do get it. And a lot of times they get it and we don't know they have it because it looks like they have a cold. So they're not even tested for it. So
Do vaccinated people still contract it and carry it? They just don't have the symptoms? I've heard a lot of different things.
no, if you have a breakthrough case, you would usually have some type of symptoms. That means
I mean, if you're vaccinated, could you have the virus in you and just not know it because you don't have symptoms? Do people who are vaccinated still carry the disease and spread it
That's a
unknowingly?
really good question. I have not heard that, but I can check on that for you.
And I was also wondering, I've yet to
Didn't
hear
bring my
anything about
pen
the
up here,
natural
so
immune.
I'm sure somebody back at the office is taking
How much
notes.
of is there of the natural immunity? Is that affecting and helping us? Like people have been previously infected and get some natural immunity. Is
So-
that helping impact and bring down the numbers?
The natural immunity wanes after usually about 90 days. So even though you had a really good dose of immunity because you were sick, it does over time wane. And we are still recommending that people
Like a
you
vaccination?
had COVID get vaccinated.
So being vaccinated wanes off, and being naturally immune wanes off too.
Yes,
But not at the same rate,
no, not at the
nowhere
same
near
rate.
the same rate.
Correct,
I don't
because
think
if
that's
you had
right either.
COVID,
It's not the same.
they
It's not the
recommend a
same.
shot after 90
Right.
days.
And with the Omicron, from what you just said, you could have it with 30 days later, get it again.
Correct.
So there is, I mean, so my guess is if you have natural immunity to that, what's it, 2 weeks or less? Because
It could
it
be.
doesn't make sense. If
I
you're
mean,
not
they're just
vaccinated,
saying there
Omicron's
that-
coming around, you're in trouble.
This one might be a game changer.
Yeah.
The fact that we cut off travel immediately this time, I think might be a little bit of help in slowing any transmission that happens in the United States. I don't think it's going to help totally not get it. It's not ever not be here because we did that, but it does give us time, which is why I'm recommending vaccinate.
Right.
Get your booster. Just get out there and do what you can to help everybody else.
But scientifically, this virus is here to stay, correct? We're never going to
Absolutely.
eradicate it.
No.
We eventually have to adjust to it just like we do with the flu, correct? All right, so I thought, because some
It's here.
people I heard were under the assumption that if everyone gets vaccinated, this disease will disappear, and that's a complete medical fallacy, is it not?
Well, it's no
Unless you
different
have a
than
cure
any
for
other
it.
vaccination that you got. You get vaccinated for the chicken pox or the measles or the mumps or rubella. If you look over time, they've you have
They've
like
subsided.
such a small percentage of people that get those because they're not vaccinated or because it's a breakthrough case or something like that. But then because we stopped doing vaccinations and so many people, stopped getting vaccinations or in other countries where they don't actively vaccinate all the time, we've had resurgence of measles in some cases. So that's why
we're going back and forth. The fact is, you're
Correct.
saying is get vaccinated. There's
The
only
odds.
been one.
my point.
There's only been one virus that ever has been eradicated, and that's smallpox. Period. Everything else is still there in
Which
the
is
world.
why we do it.
So
with
that's
kids.
why we vaccinate.
Correct.
I mean,
And this will just become a part of what we do with our
so
children
the
early
best thing
on.
to do is vaccinate.
Yes.
Okay.
So the word's getting out. I had a community meeting Tuesday night,
Yep.
Sue, and I will not get on a political soapbox and talk about whether it's good to vaccinate or not. I don't play that game, and I don't really appreciate those that do. And my constituency that was out there appreciated that too, because many of them came up to me. As a matter of fact, most of them came up to me after it was over and said, "Thank you so much," because we're so sick and tired of hearing the rhetoric and listening to people that are looking at articles on Facebook that
Oh.
apparently they believe they have a science degree. But I will tell you that I've got a lot of hardcore folks up there in my district, and all of them told me they're vaccinated and there's no other way to get through this. And we get it now. So the word's getting
Well,
out.
we've
And
had
I only
increasing
say that,
people
yep.
coming to get vaccines, and When we had that little blip I guess it's been about 4 weeks now. That next week our clinics were full and we vaccinated, we took walk-ins, and because we're not going to turn anybody away ever. We have had the National Guard, or I don't know what they're calling it now, come in to a couple of events. I think Sykesville has them coming this weekend to one of their Christmas events, or
on Saturday?
yeah, I think
Okay.
Mayor Link has them
Yeah,
coming
okay.
in. So
That's great.
so there'll be vaccines
great.
available, and we're trying to make it so that it's convenient and people. We've literally had people change their mind while they're standing there because we're at the event. So
That's a
Um,
good thing. That's-
Whatever you can use, however you can use us to continue to get the word out about vaccinations, along with the mayors and municipalities and the leaders that we have, please let us know, and we will do our best. So I really
we're here
appreciate
to
it.
do whatever you need us to do, and if
Yeah.
you need information, give me a call and we'll get it to you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Thank you
Yep,
so
thank
much.
you.
Ms. Stoll,
See
you're
you
always
soon
so
and get
very
back.
pleasant. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that?
See Santa and get back.
See Santa and get vaxxed, and able to be see Santa next year. Okay,
Yes.
let's walk into priority. Carol, Commissioner Boucher.
Out of the gate. Thank you very much. I want to start out by reading off the county's new hirees while Mr. Swam gets up some videos. We have Jennifer Williams, Housing Specialist, Citizen Services, Dominique Evans, Youth Program Specialist, Workforce Development Center, Christopher Duffy, Park Superintendent, Rec and Parks, Jesse Shogren, Truck Driver, Roads, Ellen Vazella, Youth Program Specialist, Workforce Development, and Lydia Rogers, Budget Assistant, Office of Management and Budget. Welcome aboard. We appreciate you coming on board. I did a tour of our snow removal assets since we're moving into that season. This is a shot of the computer used to mix the brine for taking care of our roads. It's pretty high tech. I didn't realize how involved it is, but since it impacts the environment, there's a lot of regulation on this. And they also have a new chemical we're putting into it. I forgot what it's called, but it helps the brine stick to the asphalt and melt the ice at lower temperatures. So I thank those guys out there. What are the photos we have for snow removal? I think we have, and this is another thing, how important maintaining equipment is with snow removal. That brine is acidic with salt in it. It heats up our trucks. This is an example of a truck body we have that spreads the salt and the impact it has upon it, and how important it is for us to maintain this equipment and rotate and cycle. These are our champions and our heroes when it snows out there. We got Kathy, Brian, Jim, and Reed there standing inside the salt box. I want to thank those guys for the tour. And here we go. These are those super expensive porta pots we bought, and they're good for the crews when they're out there working. These are very important. We figured we add that in there because we spent so much money on these things. They look brand new. And I think we have some plows. We have a tremendous amount of assets of plows out in the yard, real huge plows. We got anything else in there on the plows? Oh, we got a rotating view of all the assets we have out there at the roads operation. These are our heroes when it snows. This is heavy duty equipment. And that's a lot of welding to maintain that equipment too. And with that, we'll go into the welding issue. Photos. We'll do the championship. We'll
Do something.
hold on. All right, there we go. I need to announce this. This is in my district. The South Carroll Cavaliers are champions. I'll read off this from Christina Dougherty, the principal. She is extremely proud of what the students out there have done. South Carroll varsity Cavalier football team, who has a 12-0 record this year, defeated Hartford Tech High School 14-13 last weekend in the state 12A 1A semifinal. South Carroll advances to the state 2A 1A final this weekend, December 4th at noon at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. This is tremendous. Down at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, they will be playing Dunbar High School of Baltimore. Tomorrow, the students and faculty and staff will be excited to do a send-off for their team over at Parker Field at noon. Go Cavaliers. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all those parents and the students out there. It's a lot of effort to put on a championship team like this. They got a fantastic coaching staff. I remember when I played football, sometimes I didn't like my coaches because they pushed me hard, but they lead you to a championship team. We have a wrestling coach down here at the end. He knows all about this. He's very proud of these students as well. And I think we'll move into the here this week. I did a little luncheon with all the county employees that took the welding course. The county staff got employees from facilities, fleet, and utilities to take the welding course. I did a little luncheon with them. Air staff was so ecstatic and happy that we gave them this training. There they are for group photo. In the long run, I think this training not only improves their employee morale, but there's so many things that these men and women out there can fix and repair and save this county money now. When you've seen those photos of all those plows, as someone who welds for a living, it takes a lot of work and to maintain that and do the maintenance on it and keep the life up on it. So thanks to these gentlemen taking this course, they're going to save this county money on the long term. So thank you all very much.
Okay. Commissioner Weaver.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, the update on COVID, as I said, did hit home here, and I do appreciate this door coming in. But this is hitting major in my area for some reason right now, and unvaccinated people are dying. It's scary. So anyway, on a positive note, we were all on a rooftop here Tuesday, I guess, at the Hampstead for the largest community solar project in the country. The old Solo Cup plant, which is now the Marvel Comic Book Distribution Center, had 23 acres of solar rooftop panels, and it was phenomenal. This is by Summit Ridge Energy. Those panels are only 18 inches, 2 feet off the ground. Unbelievable that many panels are out there. 9 megawatts, I think, of energy produced, enough for 1,300 homes produced there. I'm sorry, I killed it. Yeah, there you go. It's scratching us.
Your district, and it was impressive. 23 acres of rooftop is. I've been on a lot of roofs in my life. I've never been on a 23-acre roof.
You didn't have an axe with you either.
I mean,
It was the
It's
largest,
crazy.
it's the largest in the country. And before that, I think it was 11 acres, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
You stand on that roof and it's just, wow, look at all the solar panels and how it was working. And
it was cool standing on the roof with you three guys too.
Yeah.
And nobody threw you guys off.
we had to hold Wance's hand, but so he didn't fall. But no, it was good. It was.
Help him off the ladder.
What's amazing though, when you stood up there and you looked off, you couldn't see the end of the panels.
No.
That's how
Right.
far it went. I mean,
Right.
that kind of impressed me.
Yeah. I think I saw Russia from up there. Though.
They didn't give us a perimeter tour. They're taking all day, but just to stand in the middle of this.
Okay,
and
keep
look
going.
at it, it was. It
What
was
else you want to
impressive.
talk about?
That's it. I can.
Commissioner Wentz.
Well, I can't top that. I mean, get what I did there. Top that. Anyway, that was a good day.
That was a great
Yeah,
day.
and really didn't know anything going on about that until Johnny O Sr. called me and said, "Hey, we got something going on," and said you might want to be over there. Really quick, I want to thank all the staff and county personnel that. Oh, there we are. That's it. The rooftop thing, Dick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Except we're not on the roof, but
Yep.
there's some of the folks that were there.
Yeah, the gentleman with the red beard, he
Yeah.
was in charge of it all.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So good stuff out there.
Yep.
Anyway, want to thank all the staff, county personnel that came out to my community meeting Tuesday night. I've been doing this job now for 7 years, and people assume that everybody watches our open sessions, and the 12
Tens of
people,
thousands.
the 12 people that do typically are the ones that have watched it for years. But when you get out there and talk to folks, they're like, "Oh, we didn't know that."
Mhm.
So it's good to have these things, and I'm glad that we're back to being able to have them for the most part safely. And we had a great event. Roberta, you were there. So a lot going on. I am going to say to you guys in open session that you're going to see an uptick in activity about a religious facility in my district that's creating a few challenges. Please know that as you get some of these emails that we are working on that with staff and the proper law enforcement personnel. Look at those action shots. Amazing. Anyway,
Your mouth's always open.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the action.
Yeah. So kudos to everybody that was there, and thank you. A lot of folks were very engaged out there, and I appreciate that. Congratulations to Terry Haynes. We were with her yesterday. 37 years here. Again, that's you look at some of the folks that have worked for county government for those periods of time, and we are what we are. I always say you're only as good as those folks you surround yourself with, and she's the perfect example of that. I'm not exactly sure how our county attorney will be able to function after Friday, but we'll see.
He's gonna be no good now.
I don't know. We'll see.
There's a picture right there.
Yeah, I also
Oh, nice.
attended an Eagle Scout. Oh, there we are.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So congratulations to Terry.
Yeah.
So, what kind of a pose was that, Tim, over there? You look like you're like what are you doing over there? I don't.
He's got the
Looking
Santa.
for the out of shape brawny
He's
guy.
got the- He's got the
Guy
Santa.
from
He's got
paper
the
towels.
Santa look going.
The brawny guy when he lets himself go.
Was that the Santa look? Off-season Santa.
Another.
Handsome face.
Wow. All right.
Is it true? Did you eat the cat or eat the bird?
I apologize to our 12
Yes.
viewers.
The county. Yes.
You decorated for us today, here, I hear.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You
Got
did
the
a great
menorah, you
job.
got the dreidel.
Yeah.
I seen there's a top hat decoration.
Okay.
Another Eagle Scout in the county went there Sunday. Tyler Deskowitz. Actually, your district, Dick, but I've known the Deskowitz family
Yeah.
for a long time, and his brother Brandon and his dad Mark are also Eagle Scouts. That's probably the first one I've been to where they had that family connection, and it was really impressive. I got to tell you. So
I hit
you know the
10.
family well too, Dick, but I
I had
appreciate you letting me go to that one. So
10 Eagle Scouts in the family. It's unbelievable.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
gotta beat that record.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I can beat that one, but anyway, that was a great event, and I want to congratulate that entire family. That Eagle Scouts, again, we have the highest amount of Eagle Scouts in the state of Maryland in Carroll, so good stuff. And finally, just a quick update because I know several of us will be going to Mako next week. I don't have to preach about how you all know how much I appreciate what Mako does for us. And I want to just give you a brief rundown of who will be taking office at the banquet next Thursday evening. The board of directors for Mako for 2022 will be Stuart Pittman from Anne Arundel, Sharon Middleton from Baltimore City, Reuben Collins from Charles County, Lenny Pfeffer from Dorchester, Jim Heinball from Garrett, Barry Glassman from Harford, Mark Elrich from Montgomery, Todd Turner from Prince George's, Randy Guy from St. Mary's, and Steve Wantz from Carroll County. And the officers, the new president that will be going in next Thursday evening, Laura Price from Talbot County. First vice, Calvin Ball from Howard. Second vice, Johnny O from Baltimore County. Secretary, Jack Wilson from Queen Anne's. Treasurer, MC Keegan Air from Frederick. And obviously, we'll hear a bunch of good things from the immediate past president, who also will serve on the board, Wilbur Levengood. And, you got to love Wilbur. I mean, I've developed quite a relationship with Buddy over the years, to the point where I've visited his farm, and he's just a great guy. And I think you'll see Buddy cry Thursday night. I'm pretty sure you will. But it's going to be a great Thursday evening's going to be really great next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
Let me just share just one real quick. This is the only organization in the state that brings together leadership from separate jurisdictions. I serve on, Economic Alliance Greater Baltimore, on BWI, Formula Alliance, and they're signed up to do it, but they don't show up, or they'll bring a second or third. This is the only one where the actuals are going to be there in the room, talking side by side all the time. That's the importance of Mako. That's the importance of these conferences. And I just, very proud that you're a part of it, on the board. But it's just a testament to what that organization does, kind of similar to MML, where you have that leadership.
Yeah.
And you can't get away from that. That's why we attend, and that's why it's important. So,
And I just want to add, we can do more in 10 minutes at Mako
Absolutely.
than we can do in 10 months here.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable. You're all together, you talk about things, people are made aware of what's going on, and it's phenomenal how fast things can work there compared to having to go through the network we have to go through. So
So,
thank
and
you and Dennis for serving on that.
yeah.
And
It's been an honor to serve. I mean, next year's it for me, but it's been an honor. It really has. So, and I appreciate that. And the facility at Cambridge will be gorgeous as it always is around the holiday season. I mean, it's just great.
Yep.
And while I'm looking at Mayor Jones, I want to thank him for his leadership. He's past president of MML.
Yep.
And I had the opportunity to sit and talk with Mayor Day, the new president of MML, who's the mayor of Salisbury. He was there with Scott Hancock, right? Scott is the Michael Sanderson of Mako. Scott is the executive director of MML. Perry, you probably already heard this, but we had an excellent meeting at the board retreat week before last, where MML and Mako are going to come together and work together on several of the legislative initiatives that we're presenting in Annapolis. So really excited about that. We're going to work on the highway tax or the highway revenue issue, and we're going to work on the protection of elected officials issue in conjunction with the leadership of MML. So I know you're the immediate past, and you'll be involved in a lot of that too. So thank you, sir, for your service on that as well. You were talked about 2 weeks ago down there. So in a good way, Barry. Good way. And I think that's all I have other than, you talking about the holiday season. To you, President Rothstein, happy Hanukkah. I know we're
Thanks.
in day 5 now, I believe.
Day 5.
I don't know why I keep track of that, but I do.
Alright.
Anyway, to all those whoever is celebrating what, we're going to sporadically have session here over the next few weeks because of the holiday season. So, and we have our tree lighting Monday evening here at 5 p.m. Outside. So, anyway, to everybody, to you and
Thank you.
everybody,
Will there
Thank
be music? Will you be playing like you did
Yeah.
on your? Okay.
So,
well, I think we'll have music, but something in the background. Yeah. I think Chris Swam's going to sing, but only at the end
I ain't singing.
as people are leaving.
after everybody,
Serenade the Exeters.
See what I did there, Swam? Thank you very much. All right.
I hear you.
okay. What's your name? Commissioner Frazier.
After all that, there's not much left to say. I was going to talk about rooftop solar and stuff, but that's already been taken. But I will say, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. This Thanksgiving was a little different than the last one because of the vaccines. Everyone, I mean, for my family anyway, we were able to get together. We had people come over, which we couldn't do the last Thanksgiving. We had outdoor Thanksgiving last Thanksgiving, which worked out, but that's the way it had to be.
Was
This
the food
Thanksgiving,
cold?
everybody's inside. Say it again.
Was the food cold?
Well, the food was inside. You went inside, got it, brought it
I got
outside.
You had to eat it fast.
Yeah, you did. You did. But so I do appreciate that. I mean, appreciate that with the vaccines are out there, everybody can get together. I just want to make a plug. Everyone has gone through COVID, especially the small businesses in Carroll County. This holiday season, if you're thinking of buying presents and gifts for other people, look first in Carroll County. Look at the store owners in Carroll County. Look at the people who run the businesses in here. If you could spend your money there, it would really help out your friends and neighbors in Carroll County. And this is the season to do that and look around. It's where most of them will make most of their profit for the year. Also have to mention that myself, Commissioner Rossi, and Commissioner Lance yesterday were at the groundbreaking for East Middle School. I appreciate Commissioner Rossi letting me speak yesterday. Crossing that off. Letting me speak yesterday. I also thank this Board of Commissioners for the commitment of, because if we don't put this in our 5-year budget, nothing happens. once the Board of Commissioners puts this in what I'm talking about is the money for the East Middle School. If that doesn't go into our budget, nothing else gets moving. Once we put it in our 5-year plan, then the state looks at it. Then things start moving forward. We did the same thing with Career and Tech when we put money in for that, and things started moving forward. And there's a picture of the groundbreaking. You see me over there on the right? No, but that's a picture where they're putting everything, together for the new
Great
building.
drone shot.
And that should be done within 2 years, which is really, really good. Hopefully, if the steel and everything is there. And that is all I have.
I appreciate it. And appreciate Chris and the team with photography and the drone shots as well. Definitely helps. It brings up a point that we may not always agree on some of these projects, but the value that we have, especially blessed with our form of government, is the ability to work together and come to consensus, knowing how to count to 3 and moving forward in projects like East Middle. I'm looking forward to seeing that in completion.
You think we'll be? Well, you have the potential of being here, sir. I think you'll probably. You
We'll
think they'll
see.
invite us back, Dennis?
I hope
I don't know.
Weaver, what do you think? Think so? I don't.
What's interesting is when I was in command at the installation, we always said we either broke ground or we cut the ribbon. We never did both. I
Yeah.
think there was one event where I was able to break ground and cut ribbon.
Yeah,
And
the
that was a
same
new
thing
VA
came up at
clinic.
the presentation
Yep.
for the community center up in Silver Run.
Yep. It's just,
Don't believe I'm going to be there as a sitting commissioner when that door is
Nope.
open. So,
but when you're invited back, it makes you feel really
Yeah.
good that you
Yeah.
were a part of
Yep.
a solution to a problem in the community. A couple things I do want to share. I really did appreciate the health department's discussion this morning about COVID-19. I know sometimes, and maybe oftentimes, I sound like a broken record, but the importance of maintaining good order and discipline, safety and security in our community is on the forefront of my mind, especially during the holiday season. So when we're told that there's almost 6,000 cases and 5,000 of those cases are because of unvaxxed people, do the math, let's get vaccinated and let's continue to work hard as leaders that we are to promote vaccines and testing and good, health and hygiene. What I do want to share is something that we put out a couple times to our staff and our team, and I reiterated it the other day, and I'm just going to read it. The Board of Commissioners endorses the idea of COVID-19 vaccinations for those able to receive them, but we also absolutely do not believe in mandating this vaccine or testing for our employees. We do not believe in mandating, period. The situation is far from a resolution, and there's no need to be overly concerned about this right now. What we're talking about is the OSHA situation. Let's all be patient and move forward. Otherwise, take the time to relax and enjoy the holiday season with family and friends, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. I'm putting a ... before and after because there's more to that email. But the fact is that we promote the vaccines from the Board of Commissioners and overwhelmingly do not promote mandating from the Board of Commissioners. Be very clear about that because it leads right into the next topic, which I know I'm a broken record. And again, this is that social media garbage that's put out there. And I'm just, it's crazy. And it's promoted through, different news agencies. It's promoted through different, topics. I mean, this woman, Lara Logan, who I don't know, but I now know because I watched her on TV, she associated Dr. Fauci with Mengele from Nazis. And I'm watching this, I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you're desensitizing the horror of the Holocaust. with Dr. Fauci, who is a brilliant doctor. Whether I agree with him or not, I don't know, but I mean, he's been around a long time. Associating COVID-19 with Nazism, with Jews being put in boxcars, is what I've seen on social media. It's garbage. It's complete and utter garbage. We need to take care of our community, be upfront. When you see things like this, call it out and say enough is enough, because we've got to take care of our community to get ourselves into 2022. I apologize for preaching, but I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm going to continue saying this until I can get somebody else vaccinated, because it's one person at a time right now. I don't want to be such a sour note about it, but it's important. And we got to have personal courage to step up and do what's right. But that was just one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. And I happened to be flipping channels, and I was like, did she just say that? And I Googled, I read the article. I'm like, oh my gosh, she did. And it just was horrific. So with all of that said, I do continue to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, and maybe it'll be a miracle for all of us to get vaccinated. The saying for Hanukkah is a miracle happened over there, there meaning in Israel. And on the dreidel, that's what the letters are. But in Israel, the dreidel has a miracle has happened over here because it was there. So just let you know. But little trivia for you. Let's move.
Said that last year.
I
did?
remember that.
I do remember
Oh,
saying
well,
that.
I don't
Broken
remember.
record over there.
Commissioner,
Oh, I apologize. You did want to share
if you
something.
don't mind, I don't usually do anything with priority, Carol, but as you know, what was it, 2 months ago, roughly, we celebrated reaching over 75,000 acres in our agricultural preservation. And the committee had a beautiful piece of artwork commissioned by a local artist of showing one of our local farms. And we presented that artwork to the Board of Commissioners, to the governor, and to Secretary Gartenfelder. And the secretary provided the governor with his piece of artwork recently and had their picture taken. And so we thought it would be a nice, they sent it to us, and we thought it would be very nice to have it framed and provided to the board.
Very
So
nice.
this is that picture,
A pirate.
Wow.
It's good, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
pretty special.
and it's signed by the governor. It says, "Thank you, Carroll County Board of Commissioners."
You should be holding that out and like going.
Yeah, go this way. Be the Van Van.
Yeah, that light there.
So we thought we'd maybe hang that with the actual picture.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Super.
With
Thank
all
you.
our pictures underneath.
Tim, you do decorating.
Excellent.
And,
That's right.
one very last thing is I know there's a lot of events dealing with Santa Claus. I know that Freedom down in Sykesville, Santa will be traveling on fire trucks throughout the neighborhoods coming up. On Saturday, there's a tree laying ceremony in Sykesville, and Santa will be there mid-afternoon to 6 p.m. And at the Farm Museum throughout December on the weekends, the 4th, 5th, 11th, 12th, and 18th and 19th, Santa will also be visiting the Farm Museum. And there's details,
12 to 4.
12 to 4, thanks. So, and I think in all the jurisdictions, there's going to be opportunity for Santa to be able to travel and light some trees. So, okay,
And Ebenezer Scrooge will
Okay.
be at the tree lighting.
let's
All right.
let's start with resolution transfer official intent to reimburse bond expenditures.
Batter
Mr.
up.
Rob Burke.
It's only 10 after 10. We're already up to item 1. That's good.
Fast pitch this thing to us.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time this morning. Yeah, a bit of a mouthful there. This is an administrative item in follow-up to the board's action on November 4th, where a budget transfer was accomplished to complete the funding for the Charles Carroll Community Center. you'll recall annually when we adopt the budget, I come before the board to have us express official intent to reimburse expenditures that we anticipate being paid for with bond proceeds. We need to express an official intent to reimburse ourselves with that money in order to expend the money first and issue debt following. We do that by functional category. And in this circumstance, the budget transfer that we did moved money between categories from conservation function from water development to a general government function for the Charles Carroll Community Center. So what I'm presenting the board this morning will simply amend the county's official intent to move the bond funding along with the budget transfer that's already happened for this project, $3.2 million from conservation to general government, which mirrors the budget transfer that's already been accomplished.
Okay.
I know that's a
Mouthful.
bit.
Okay.
I think
It's
it's
like a shell game.
So this is a administrative function. It creates no obligation to issue those bonds. That will only happen when and if we continue with the project and expend those dollars. And then I'll be back at that point to, as we always do, authorize debt issuance and conduct it in a future bond sale.
Well,
Questions?
no, I don't have any questions, but I'm going to enthusiastically make the motion in reference to 22.02 that we approve the resolution declaring the county's intent to reimburse expenditures with debt proceeds.
Okay, I got a motion second. Any discussion, questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Against.
Okay, 4-1, let's move on.
Very good. Thank you.
Water
you,
and
Mr.
sewer
Burke.
fall amendment. Linda Price. Morning.
Commissioners. Good morning, Commissioners. This is a public hearing that we have to hold in compliance with the environmental articles, Section 9503, concerning some proposed amendments to the water sewer plan, master plan. With us, well, I would note that this was advertised in the Carroll County Times on November 18th, 2021, and November 25th, 2021. As you know, Price is here with us. If he would like to give us a brief, real quick rundown of the proposed changes to remind the commissioners from a couple weeks ago.
Can do that. Good morning. And I have reduced this a lot compared to what it was previously.
Appreciate that.
So this is the 2021 fall amendment. We do that twice a year, obviously starting back in springtime for the spring amendment. So this is 3 map amendments, one for the Freedom Sewer Service area, one for the Westminster Water Service area, and there are 4 in the Manchester Water Service area and 3 in the Sewer Service area. As you may remember, this is the Freedom area. This is the property in question. It's 5715 Meyerfield Court. Garrow Way is right here, and this is the Eldersburg Exchange division. So this gentleman is asking to come into the service area because he is in the need to replace his septic system. And he is currently in long range. As you can see, he is surrounded by persons who are in the service area. And the line runs behind his property. And there is an easement already in place for him to connect with the adjacent property owners area. So he looked at it and realized it's just as cost effective to tie into the system versus replacing his existing septic. And this is up in this area right here, Garrow Way, and this is the Eldersburg Exchange. This is the Dole property in the city of Westminster. And as you'll see, this is the Stonegate subdivision, which is the roundabout is right up in this area with the future extension to Market Street. This property, even though it looks like it's 2 parcels, it is 1 parcel. It is just split by this parcel, which is part of the Stonegate subdivision. At this point in time, looking at the plans, I don't think there's anything going on on that particular part of the Stonegate subdivision. It may just be stormwater management, that type of stuff. He requested to be removed from the system, and that will reduce the city of Westminster's potential demand by almost 7,300 gallons. Again, right down here, this is the very last portion of it. And the areas that are in the service area currently, which is the Woodside Drive, Glen Drive, they are on septic. So this is one of those where even though they have public water, they are on septic. So the aspect is he has no intention to develop, and so as he said in his letter, he's getting tired of paying taxes on whatever this city may ask him to pay for. We have 4 in Manchester, and I actually did these back to back. So this is considered the Three Russells LLC, which actually is within the town of Manchester itself. However, they are looking to put solar on this portion of the property. Three Russells LLC is larger. It also includes this section, but this is the only section they're looking to put into long range. At this time, again, they're looking to do solar. So water, they're asking for water to come out, and again, for the sewer section to come out as well. This is the Thomas Tree Farm, or the Wayne Thomas property. They actually recently went into AgPres, and so they requested to come out of the water service area, long range. So the trialing update will take them out completely, since they are in the AgPres. They will not be within the growth area, and the town does not serve outside their town limits. So this actually recoups a decent amount of water demand for the town. I believe it's roughly 23,000 gallons that they do not have to account for at this point in time. They are not in the sewer service area, so there is no amendment for that aspect. This is the Woodhaven Building and Development Properties, formerly the Lippy property, which was annexed into the town this past spring. And also this area down here is known as Old Town, which actually was the subdivision that was platted back in about the 70s. The developer, Woodhaven, is looking to do just 40 units total. And so they're bringing in this portion of the Lippy property, what is now was the Lippy property, and this into the service area. This portion right here is currently in the service area. So this has 8 units potential. The rest of it, the other 32 units, will be within this service area right here. Again, same thing for the sewer. And this is the PV Manchester, known as Patriots Overlook. They are in the process of looking to do subdivision of this property. This portion was just annexed into the town, I believe, earlier this fall. These other portions are within the town, but this portion needed to be brought into the water and sewer service area for them to move forward with the subdivision process. So again, you'll see that they're being brought into the service area. So water, Three Russells LLC, the Thomas Tree Farm up on the northern part. We have the Lippy property, Old Town, right across from Manchester Valley High. And then we have PV Manchester, just outside off of Park Avenue. And again, no sewer, amendment for Thomas Tree Farm, but here are the 3 other aspects. So Manchester, there's water supply demands changed just a little bit. Majority of their demands were recouped by Thomas Tree Farm coming out. The city of Westminster reduced theirs a little bit for priority planning and future planning. So their total demand versus capacity has decreased. The Freedom Sykesville, the capacities don't change because it's very minimal, 250 gallons. And then Manchester, it went up a little bit, but they are still in good shape when it comes to their sewer. So we've already updated the maps, as you see, the tables. The town of Manchester did their certification on October 19th. City of Westminster on November the 11th. The county Planning Commission, we certified on the 16th. I briefed the board prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. So, the typo is still here. So the county commission, and I changed that down to next time if you see me, when we see me, it will say December 16th. So December 16th is when we were looking to come in front of the board for adoption of the resolution. And then we will forward to MDE for final approval prior to the Christmas holiday. And the amendment is not going to effect until MDE does give their final approval.
I think you're just looking forward to the spring.
We're working on the spring and we're working on the trailer update. So you'll be seeing a lot of me.
When work is done in the municipalities take the lead in action. When work is done off of Gear Way in the Freedom area in Eldersburg, how is that? Is it just on us to?
The potential property owner, he is paying for that himself. So that is all on the property owner. He looked at it and said, okay, it's going to cost roughly the same amount to run the sewer line through the easement and tie into sewer versus replacing my septic, which needs to be replaced. So that is on, at this point in time, the owners are the ones that pay the bill.
There's some big houses on that cul-de-sac.
There are.
Nice houses.
Yes.
When that's done, are others going to be able to link into that, or are they going to want to?
In essence, in short, potentially yes. The way the line, I'm sorry for the quick scrolls.
It's all good.
The way the line runs, I believe it could be potentially cost prohibitive because since the line is so far back,
Okay.
these properties in this area, they would have to run really a decent amount of footage.
Yeah.
Again, not saying it's impossible, but I believe since this property owner, where his property is, and he has the easement already there and direct access potential, was easier for him.
Okay.
The other properties, yes, they could, but more than likely it may be cost prohibitive just for the footage they'd have to run to tie into the sewer.
Okay.
Any other board members have questions of staff?
Nope. Where are we at?
Mr. President, at this point, we should open the floor to any public comments. Do we have anyone interested in commenting on this particular agenda item?
Do we have any public comment?
No callers on the line.
Okay.
I'm amazed.
Okay, I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners close the public hearing and keep the record open for a period of 10 days.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any discussion, questions? Seen here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Thank you.
okay, Mr. Mayor, why don't you come on up? Have a seat and let's talk about UB Solar LLC annexation in Union Bridge.
Before we get started, I want to congratulate Mayor Jones for his wedding. I believe it was this past weekend.
Oh, thank you very much.
How'd you get out of deer hunting to go get married?
Well, it was a combination of her son coming in from Ohio to be here to marry us. So, you give up a little bit
No
here and
kidding.
there. There's things that, when you're married, you give up.
And that's hunting.
Yeah, and that's the first day hunting season. There's, still 2 weeks of it.
That's
yet.
right.
Got plenty of time.
Well, I'm very, very happy for you. You look like a very happy man.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mazel
Mazel tov.
I've been out there running around long enough single to figure, in case I decide to run for public office again, this time they won't have any complaints about me being a single man running for office.
Well, there's a commissioner seat coming back up.
We're not going to discuss that.
We'll move on.
So, as you can see, we are here to discuss the Union Bridge annexation, Citizens UB Solar LLC. We obviously have Mayor Perry Jones here to answer any questions that he can. So moving forward, we received the petition for annexation on November 1st, 2021. The petitioner of this annexation is Citizens UB Solar LLC, They are also the property owner of the area to be annexed. The annexation area comprises approximately 69 acres. There is already 26 acres of the property in the corporate limits of Union Bridge. So the entirety of the Citizens UB Solar property is around 95 acres. And just a procedural reminder, it's not up to the county to approve or disapprove the annexation, but to approve the staff report that was prepared by me.
Neat.
So going.
Take out any ambiguity.
Looking closer at the annexation area, it is adjacent to the corporate limits of Union Bridge. We have the entire Citizens UB parcel outlined in the black, and then we have the annexation area in the blue hashing. The corporate limits are defined in the red outline, and then the county border is in the bright yellow. So as I've said, there are approximately 26 acres that are already in the corporate limits, and then the annexation area is approximately 69 acres. This parcel is in the designated growth area and the town's priority funding area. We have an aerial shot of the property. It is predominantly used as farmland right now, and you can see a farm complex on the southern part of the parcel. We have Lehigh Cement to the east of Maryland 75, and then the corporate limits of Union Bridge to the north. We see Green Valley Road or Maryland 75 cutting through the annexation area. And we also have the annexation area going across Maryland 75 to these two areas here. The annexation area is also being split by an old railroad. It is not in use anymore. And the surrounding land uses are residential and industrial. So some background on this property is this property already went through the site plan process under the county. The final site plan was approved by the county's planning commission in May of 2021. The plan is to develop it as a solar conversion facility under the town of Union Bridge. You can see the solar panels extending from the corporate limits now down to the farm complex on the southern part of the property. Solar panels also extend across Maryland 75. There are areas that are not going to be developed that are going to be annexed, like the farm complex, and then the bottom portion of the standalone areas across Maryland 75. And then we have the corporate limits up here. Going on to the zoning, it is currently zoned conservation with the county along Sam's Creek or the county border on the southern portion of the property. It is zoned I-1 or light industrial to the west of Maryland 75. And then it is zoned I-2 or heavy industrial on the east side of Maryland 75. Going into the town, the proposed zoning is going to be conservation and their restricted industrial zoning district. The plan is to have everything zoned conservation with the county remain conservation under the town, and then everything that is zoned I-1 and I-2 under the county go into the restricted industrial zoning with the town. So that being said, with the permitted uses in the county's conservation and the county's I-1 being similar to the town's conservation and the town's restricted industrial, there is no zoning waiver required for this annexation. We have the designated land uses of the annexation area that was taken out of the 2008 Town of Union Bridge Community Comprehensive Plan. We have conservation on the west side of the annexation area going along Sam's Creek again. And then we have the industrial restricted to the west side of Maryland 75, and then industrial general to the east side of Maryland 75. The proposed zoning district of the annexation, which is conservation and restricted industrial, are consistent with the designated land uses. Then we have water and sewer. The annexation area is in the long range for water and sewer. You can see there are portions of the property that is already incorporated being served by existing water and sewer with the town. We have the entire 26 acres being served by the town's water, And then we have the northern part of the portion of the property being served by sewer. And the proposed annexation and development will not significantly increase the water and sewer demands. So as always, we sent out transmittal to county agencies. We have no outstanding comments from anybody. We are making a comment that the town amend the meets and bounds of the annexation area that was shown in the survey plat. It was brought to our attention that there are two instances where the meets and bounds presented were creeping into Frederick County. So they need to fix that before they sign a resolution, and the town and the town's attorney is aware of that. And we also sent it to Maryland Department of Planning, and they have no comments as well.
Was there a reason why the town did that, or?
With the zoning line?
Yeah,
Well, I'm not sure. I think when they did the survey, they found it, but it could be also be the difference of the way the creek has lined over
Yeah.
the years,
okay,
have moved. So that's
Okay.
what they're looking at right now.
yeah, okay, because it's a good catch. I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
So for today, planning staff recommends support of this annexation. We are here for an informational briefing or decision if you're prepared for that. If not, we have time reserved on the 16th to come back for approval. And that leads us to December 20th, which is the town's public hearing. Are
Okay.
there any questions?
You said it would have little impact on water and sewer.
Mhm.
What impact would it have?
Well,
Solar.
no significant increase of water and sewer
So
demand.
react, but, so it's really no increase is what I'm
Right.
getting at, because it's not putting anything else there.
Mhm.
Okay. When you said little, I think, is there a structure going up there? Okay, we're good.
I'm trying to figure out why we wouldn't be prepared to make a decision on this. I mean, it's pretty straight forward. I mean,
I will say that we have not gone to planning commission yet. That is because they were supposed to have an evening meeting last night that was canceled. But since there is no zoning waiver required for this annexation, they will not be making a motion or a decision on anything. It would just be for an informational briefing with the planning commission.
And this will give you a significant industrial tax base.
Yes, it will.
yeah, I'm very confident in this.
So, Ms. Weber, that was an impressive
Yeah.
presentation.
Thank
Steve, very much appreciate it. Mayor, give us a little summation what this means to your community. I've taken a big interest in your community. It's a small municipality. I think you're a fortunate way because you have two commissioners. Commissioner Williams, this is like his adopted town, and I absolutely love him too. What is this going to do to help your community?
Well, with the revenue that we're going to have, it helps us get back to where we lost a significant amount of revenue over the years, back in the late 2000s when we lost our highway user revenues and things like this. We will be able to do some things within our municipality that we won't have to raise the taxes for. We're looking at using some of this to upgrade our water and sewer system that is much needed. We put in for grants and things like that. So anything that we can do to not increase our tax and water rates for our people in the town.
So this will have a very positive impact upon the residents. of
Oh,
your
yes, very, very good.
Thank you. I appreciate your leadership on this. I know since day one I came on board and started working with you, how important these projects are to your community. I'm glad you stayed on top of it. And with the help of both your staff and our county staff, this is becoming a reality. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate the county staff. They do a magnificent job for us at our planning and zoning meetings, and like this presentation, makes it a lot easier for us. And that also saves us a lot of money having, have somebody to prepare these documents for us. So,
Well,
thank
we
you
like
very
the
much.
partnership.
It also saves us on resources regarding time.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, like I said up front, I'm not sure why we would not be prepared to make a decision on this.
Yeah, the only reason that I would think that we wouldn't, first of all, a delay isn't going to mean a whole lot here.
No.
All right. So from a procedural standpoint, it always goes to planning and zoning first, even though we're pretty sure it's going to be smooth sailing through there as well. But I don't want to set a precedence of making a decision at this level before P&Z has had a chance to make or be briefed on it. So I would suggest that we do it the way that we always do, because I don't want to get into you did it for that scenario.
Very good point.
Yes.
So And but I want to ask you, and you answered it, Perry, I think. A little bit of delay here until we get that step taken care of isn't going to mean a whole lot.
That wouldn't be a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
if it had been for their meeting last night, we'd have been right on schedule. So
Yeah, okay,
we're not looking for any preference, that.
okay. Well, then I would suggest that we do that. And then obviously we know which our decision here.
Right.
But let's,
Okay.
I think for respect of that group, I think we should do it that way. It's fair.
That sounds, with that being said, we'll be back on the 16th.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what you were saying earlier, Commissioner Wance, about MACO and MML, there's two organizations that I think a lot of people they should understand by now that there are two organizations that are nonpartisan. Those two organizations get together and work together and get things done a heck of a lot quicker than they do in Washington. Because we do cross the center lines and we can open our eyes and do what's best for the people.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Very well said.
I'm up to here with nausea over political crap.
Yeah.
And when you get to MACO or MML, that's set aside and we all work together in the common interest to get things accomplished.
And the
What a
sizes.
breath of fresh air.
It is. I've been working with these people for
Yep.
30 some years and they're great people to work with.
Yep.
Along with the sizes of the communities.
That's
Everybody at the table has a voice. And that's what I really enjoy is, everybody's working together. That's why these conferences, to miss them is a mistake to serve our community. And we'd like, whoever said we get so much more done in 10 minutes or whatever, it's because we're seeing the state face to face.
Yes.
And we're looking at, the activities and priorities for you and for us. So,
We try to press that when we send people to MML conferences, things like that the people in the communities understand that money is well spent because like I do in my council, we come back, we all sit there and we do in public and everybody gives a definition of what they attended, what they learned so that the people know it's just not, we change it from saying a convention made a conference and make it sound more
right.
Yeah.
official. But
That's true.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. And
No,
it
it's
is.
well worth the money.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks.
Thanks, Perry. Well
Thank you
said.
very much for your time.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to Mr. Ripper, RFP Connect Maryland Infrastructure Grant.
Make a motion, we go ahead and do that. You know how that's going to roll, but
That was a fast pitch.
Morning, Commissioners. The Department of Technology Services is requesting permission to issue an RFP to invite ISPs to submit an application to the Connect Maryland Grant Program. Grant applications are due to the state by Friday, January 14th. Just a little bit of an explanation here. I was before you several weeks ago asking you for permission for ISPs to be able to submit applications for the neighborhood program. The problem with the neighborhood program that we discovered that we needed to expand because of some of the inquiries we got is that the maximum grant amount there was $500,000. And we have a potential for a multi-million-dollar application going into the state at this point. This grant will allow up to a $10 million application to be submitted to the program. And the reason that we're here before you today is that in order for us to spend any of the federal money that we're getting towards these, we have to go through an RFP process. It's a requirement of the federal grant.
So bottom line, Mark, in layman's terms, this means if we're successful here, we're going to be able to light up a lot more than what we thought we were.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Sounds
So,
like
and
there
this,
it is.
and the potential for this one is a significant number. We're probably looking at a third of the.
Yep.
So,
You don't make
Absolutely.
Commissioner Wance's life a lot easier.
well, actually, the proposed areas actually cover a large portion of the county, not just Commissioner Lance's number there, but
That's
Yeah.
right.
so.
Yeah, and we heard that Tuesday evening. Someone asked about Ting and the expansion that they have occurred, and there was the mindset out there was that Ting was Westminster only,
Right.
and Roberta corrected them. Thank you very much. That it's not. It's open to whoever. If Ting wants to come up to Black Schoolhouse Road and Silver Run, come on up.
Yep. And
So-
King is more than welcome to apply for these
Right.
That's right.
grants as well.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I move that we authorize the Department of Technology Services to move forward with issuing an RFP to invite interested ISPs to submit an application to the Connect Maryland Infrastructure Grant Program.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion on this?
Yes,
Seeing
sir.
here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Mark.
much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Ripper.
Okay, Scott, why don't you come on up with Mike and Debbie? And let's talk about submit an application to the FY 2021 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program, AFG.
Good morning,
Okay.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
As you just shared, Commissioner, we're here today to ask for permission or authorization to submit an application to the FFY 2021 Assistance to Firefighter Grant Program, a federal program. As I'm sure you all recall, it wasn't that long ago we were here to request our first application. That was back in January or February of this year. This window actually opened up sooner than we thought it would, and it's also less time between when it starts and the deadline to apply. So we're really hustling to get this in. What we're asking for this year is basically a revised version of what we asked for last time, or the first time we applied, and that is some of the new state-of-the-art radios, portable and mobile, for the fire and EMS service. That's all it's eligible. We cannot request radios for law enforcement under this. This is a fire department, if you will, grant. So specifically, what we're asking is permission to apply or submit an application for a project that's total value $876,950. Because of the county's population, we fall into the 10% match, or I guess it's a local match requirement. But based on the math, it's actually closer to like 9.1 or something percent, because they have a simple determination. So the federal funds would be $797,227. The county's required match $79,723. And I must say that every radio that is being requested, it would be requested in this application, would otherwise be requested of the commissioners to fund if we don't get this grant. It's part of the planned transition. So this isn't an additional expenditure because of a grant. This is an opportunity for a grant to cover an expense that we were already anticipating at some time in the future. So that cost would basically, that $876,950 would be something that eventually we'd have to come to the board and ask for the money, or through the budget process ask for the money.
So if successful, we could put $800,000 back into our operational funds.
Or take it out of our anticipated expenditure. That's correct. We
Okay.
could technically save the county $800,000 of expected expenditure. Of course, that's anticipating the funding is provided.
Okay.
You want to insert no brainer here or what?
I mean, Mike, did you want to insert no brainer here?
He's on there, and I mean, the technology is planned obsolescence essentially. So every 5 to 10 years, we're looking at a complete turnover. But this will be placed in each of our riding positions. So now anybody that's on an incident will have a portable radio, and we also have full interoperability, which is a big issue with all of the mutual aid jurisdictions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's huge. And, on that note, I happened to tune into a particular incident yesterday at McDaniel College. And I don't know that the folks realize that, we can patch into McDaniel security and talk with one another on the radio, which is great and good stuff as we, try to mitigate these incidents. So
That's something we're very fortunate with, Commissioner, is our countywide radio system
right.
Is used by a number of agencies, including some state agencies.
Mhm.
So we do have full interoperability. The devices that are being asked for here would enhance that interoperability, would make it seamless. We're talking turn a knob, press a button versus like the dispatchers having to do a patch.
Okay. What a concept. Be able to talk to each other.
Yeah, that's something. I make the motion, we authorize the submission of an application to the Assistance to Fire Grant Program as presented and accept the award when it's approved.
Thank you. I appreciate your
Not
comments,
if, when.
Commissioner.
Well, now use your FEMA influence for us.
Yeah, got a meeting next week, Mike, so we'll see what we can do there.
Okay, did I get a second on that yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got motion second. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Five. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Hey, Mike, by the way, I brought up about your influence that you had yesterday or the other day at Carroll Hospital with the ambulance situation. And Sue Doyle was here this morning. You need to get together with her when
Yes.
you get a chance because you don't have enough meetings anyway. So
I'm monitoring that daily, and that's becoming the new norm over there. And that's, whatever the Omicron's all about, just the daily number of people that are showing up in the emergency room. And based on your meeting last night, I am getting with Chris Swam. I'm researching what we can put up and try to do something to try to reduce the number of people going to the emergency room because they're on overload. And the challenge is everybody in the metro area, I just pulled it up in the hallway, out of all the hospitals in the metro area, I think it's about 16. Right now, 14 of them are on red and yellow alert, which means no monitored beds, no ER beds. And this is an everyday thing. So
It's, the ripple effect, and we had this conversation. It's just, it's horrible. I mean, elective surgeries, treatments, cancer, diagnosis, go down the line. People, you don't get better in the emergency rooms.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate all the work, and yes, Sue Doyle was asking we get together. So
Yeah.
that'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, I apologize for believing, but I'd feel remiss if I didn't point out Miss Debbie Standiford. And
who?
Who's she? I'm just asking.
but she has been a true godsend as far as helping get us to this point. We would not be able to make an application were for her assistance. It's that simple.
So you're
we
saying
simply
she's
couldn't do
just a godsend for this, not for anything else?
it. Pardon?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Thank
Dad.
you again.
thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Director Robinson, keep an eye on your health. I know you have a high stress job. Don't hurt yourself.
Oh, this is
Chris, why don't you come on up and make yourself comfortable?
All right.
Because we got a few actions for you. Stormwater reviewer, contract approval.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So as I've indicated to you all in the past, stormwater management review is one of the most challenging technical subjects that we deal with from a development perspective. And back in September of last year, because of workload, we posted a position for a permanent position to assist with that. That position is still open. We have not received any suitable applicants. So in February of this year, you approved a 3-month contract for a contractual position with an individual from Century Engineering.
Yep.
They've done a phenomenal job. Then in June, I was before you and you approved a 6-month another 6-month contract for that. So here we are nearing the end of that 6 months, and I'm here to request an additional 6 months for that contract reviewer to continue with us.
Do we still have this job posted?
Absolutely.
Have we increased the pay on it?
No.
No. Okay.
And so obviously the hope is that the Siegel study that's ongoing is
Yeah,
going to
right,
help
right.
address this. And
Good.
so hopefully this is the last time I have to come before you for an extension of this contract.
Well, I will say, having done these tours of these projects with you, they're very large in scope and complex, especially with all the federal and state mandates that need to be complied with. So even though I don't like that we have to do this, we got to do it until we get that new report out. And with that, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve a task to Century Engineering for the contractual stormwater engineering with a not to exceed task limit of $99,750.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's now, Chris, talk about grant application acceptance of award in Brynwood Stream Restoration.
Yes, and Chris Swim, is there, will you pull that up, the image up, or do I do that?
It's minimized for you in there, Chris.
No, not that. Here we go. All right. So this is the Brynwood stream restoration and storm drain project. This hopefully looks familiar. A year ago, I was before you for a request to apply to the same grant. The project is to address some flooding issues. For reference, this is Johnsville Road, and Eldersburg Elementary is right across the street here. So the green area is the stream restoration, and the red lines are the storm drain improvements. So when we made this application last year at this time, it was very favorably received by Department of Natural Resources, but they didn't feel that our plans were far enough along. So at this point, we are basically shovel ready with the plans, and we think that it'll be very favorably received again by DNR. So we're requesting your approval to submit it again in the amount of $1 million from DNR. The county match, that includes the investment that we have already made in design.
Wasn't there across the street from Eldersburg Elementary issues with some of those properties that the property owners were concerned about any, mitigation or work being done?
Yeah, so that was one of the impetus for this
Right.
project, were
Okay.
flooding issues in those areas. So the storm drain infrastructure that we're putting in place there is to help address that.
So you're pushing it off to the left, to the west, northwest. That'll affect all those homes feeding down into Johnsville, into Eldersburg, because it's a pretty steep
Yeah,
slope.
so
Yeah.
this
Okay.
area,
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean, as you know, on Johnsville, it gets flooded right, basically right where you are. So
Yeah, so what we're proposing is putting in storm drains. Unfortunately, that keeps, let's see if I can do this. The spot right where I want to indicate. Let's see what I can do here. Well, in any case,
Okay.
this area down in
Yeah,
here,
I got it.
there's a couple of properties where historically there's been overland flooding.
Correct.
So we'll add inlets and pipes to put that water underground to help reduce the
And they're
flooding.
open to that.
Yes, absolutely. We've been in contact with these property owners for the
Okay.
past couple of years talking about this project. Yes.
Okay. Great work. Great work of looking at another solution to fix a problem. So, move that the Board of County Commissioners approve the submittal of the grant application and acceptance of award to the DNR Chesapeake and Coastal Grants Gateway. I got a motion, got a second. Any question, discussion? Seeing here none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now let's 5-0. Now let's
All
talk
right.
about the grant application acceptance award regarding Willow Pond tree planting.
Yes. So this is a project that you may be familiar with. It's a project that we completed last year, and this is in Westminster. This is Sunshine Way. This is the new improved stormwater management facility and stream restoration project that's out there and complete. I think Commissioner Boucher, this is the one that I showed you a couple months ago.
Is this the massive one?
Yes, this is a very large project right here in Westminster. This property is owned by the city of Westminster, and what it has left is a large grass area, almost 4 acres, between Sunshine Way and the facility that we finished. So we approached the city of Westminster to see if they would like us to plant trees there, and that would thereby long-term reduce their maintenance costs and improve the environmental benefit of the area. And they are amenable to it, so we are requesting funds from, we would like to request funds from Department of Natural Resources, the amount of $31,000 to do a tree planting at that location.
Why isn't the city doing this?
The city doesn't have the resources really to look at these types of projects for the environmental benefit. So this is part of that memorandum of agreement that we have with the city,
Okay.
where we look for these opportunities, and sometimes we find them in city property, and we approach them. If they're amenable, then we work with them to get the funds and to move the project forward.
Do we have a MOA like that with all the municipalities?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Director Hein, I have to tell you how appreciative I am to you educating me on this subject, because when I came on board, I did not understand this at all. And doing these tours shows me how big of an impact you're having upon our environment, showing me how we set up habitat for smaller little organisms and creatures, and it all goes up. And it's just such a nice place for recreation as well, and it's very beautiful. And the science involved was very impressive to me. You educated me extensively on this, and I advise every citizen out there, if you get a chance, go out and see these facilities and see how our money is being allocated, because ultimately we're all participating in the preservation at Chesapeake Bay, which is the largest estuary on the East Coast, I believe.
Yes.
And it's very vital. And each community that does this ultimately has a positive impact upon the quality of the bay. So thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Do you have a tree planting plan already?
The extent of the plan is this graphic, and then along with this graphic is a list of the species of the trees and so on. I don't have that portion
How
of
many
it. though.
trees are we planting? Just ballpark.
Ballpark, we usually plant around 300 per acre, and so we're looking at almost 4 acres. So 1,200.
All right.
I know you don't do math in an open
Keep us
session.
a tight
but-
We need some firewood or something, Fraser?
More, more than 10 and less than a million.
What a slow traffic. Never mind. I make a motion the Board of Commissioners approve the submittal of the grant applications and acceptance of the award to the Department of Natural Resources, Chesapeake and Coastal Grants Gateway.
Okay, got a motion. I got a second. Any discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5-0.
Thank
Good
you very
job,
much.
Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about purchasing a Sturtle Coney lift. Who wants to come up and talk about
What
a
is that?
Sturtle Coney lift? A diamond. Sturtle Coney diamond lift.
Right. Sounds impressive.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Better be for $212,000. Okay, talk to us.
The Office of Procurement and Cooperation with the Bureau of Fleet Management and Warehouse Operations requests your approval to award the purchase of one Sturtle Coney Diamond 6110 lift to Allen Ty and Associates in the amount of $212,000. The total amount includes the removal of an existing lift and replacing with a new unit. The purchase is being made through a Sourcewell contract that was competitively bid, and the amount is within the adopted budget, and no additional funds will be needed.
Commissioners, this is a very impressive lift. I actually brought a picture today so you can see exactly what it is and how we use it.
Takes a picture at night. I'm just kidding.
Master
I'll send you-
swam is will bring
Hey,
this up.
Is
Reed,
this like a
can
little
you,
stick figure?
Reed, can you open up the virtual window again? Chris forgot to put that back up.
Let me do it.
There we are. We had this lift installed in 2018 in the shop. It's worked very well for us. So we are looking to purchase another one, the exact same lift. This lift is nice. It's very adaptable. So we can lift anything from a minivan up to these larger dump trucks. And as you can see, we have a single axle dump truck on the lift there. Our mechanic underneath, Mike Cashman, he's about 6 feet tall and he's able to stand up right underneath of that to work on it, which is quite a luxury when you're working on this heavy equipment. We are looking for your approval to purchase another one and replace an old lift we have in the shop. It's a 2008 J.A. Becker lift. Unfortunately, J.A. Becker is no longer distributed in the United States, so parts have become obsolete. And due to its age and frequent use and need of frequent maintenance, it's time to replace it.
Well, I know that Mr. Cashman there will be able to weld on some of those trucks and repair them now. He took that training course.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed. At first, I thought it was a man lift. I didn't realize it was a vehicle lift. That would explain the expense of it.
Yeah. A little heavier.
You said the contract is through who?
Sourcewell.
Okay.
Well, I move that Board of Commissioners award the purchase of one sterile Coney Diamond 61-10 lift to Allen Ty and Associates in the amount of $212,000.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any question, discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's talk about replacement of water service laterals on 3 roadways within the Freedom District service area.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are here this morning to request your approval to award contracts with replacement of water service laterals on 3 roadways within the Freedom District to HTI contractors in the overall amount of $95,247. These awards will be made via a competitively bid term contract and will bid as separate roadways to generate interest and competitive pricing. Bids were solicited from 4 contractors and proposals were received from 2 of these contractors. As you can see, the proposals are summarized below. This is within the adopted budget. No additional funds should be needed.
Gentlemen, as you are aware, the water service laterals are the lines that connect the water mains to the properties, either residential or commercial. The line segment from the main to the meter vault is county owned and maintained, while the line segment from the meter vault to the property itself is privately owned and not county responsibility. The laterals are typically 3/4 or 1-inch copper lines, and as they age, they are prone to pinhole leaks. And I brought a sample of one several months ago with a pinhole leak in. Please recall that I requested board approval in September for our first whole-scale water service lateral project for the 25 residential properties on Snowden's Run Road. That project has recently been completed with very good results. All replacement lines were pulled through the ground from the meter vaults to the main without the need for any open trenching. This item is our next water service lateral project and includes 49 residential properties, as Maureen said, on Autumn View Drive, Autumn View Court, and Spring Hill Drive. And those roadways are located between Carroll Highlands Road and Sunset Drive in the Freedom District. The water service laterals on these roadways date to the 1970s and have exceeded their expected service life. The basic approach will again be to pull the replacement lines through the ground and to avoid open trenching at all possible. And with the majority of our projects, this work was made available to our current term contractors for bidding purposes. And as shown on the briefing paper, 2 bids were received. The low bid is an outstanding value for the overall scope of work with a unit cost of $1,940. Any questions for me?
Do you have a spreadsheet on the water service laterals, like in the Freedom District or in Carroll County, as far as the date put in place to, because
we do.
I figured, you have a priority of what's coming up next.
It's broken down by decades, essentially. So
It's broken down by decades?
So we're working towards the 70s and 80s right now on several of these items that you hear from me frequently.
Wow.
The service life expectancy that we should work towards is 30 to 40 years, and we're well beyond that. So we're trying to play a little bit of catch up with several of our projects. There have been pinhole leaks in the laterals in recent months and years that we're trying to focus on those areas. They all coincide with this time parameter construction period.
I just feel like this is the I won't say the non-sexy work, but the behind the scenes work to keep our quality of life and the roads, usable, because folks want, and I know we want as well, some luxury items, but a lot of funds are put towards these and they last for 50 years, 40, 50 years, and we're still playing catch up. So
Commissioner, thanks for recognizing the importance of what these people do out there. It's one of those unnoticed things that people totally take for granted. Now, will we get to a point where we have a delay, like we got them all replaced and won't be needing to replace for 10 or 20 years? Or will this just keep clicking every so many years and be perpetual?
I believe at this point in time, it's going to be quite a number of years until we're caught up. There may be a slight pause in the program for the service laterals at some
So it's
point.
just something we just got to keep maintaining.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're replacing copper pipe with
Yes.
copper pipe.
Yes.
Is that the state of the art to use copper
Yes,
now? There's
absolutely.
no better product?
Yes. And we have no lead pipes, as I've said previously.
No, yeah, well, that's good. I'm just thinking, is there another generation after copper? But
At
no.
this point in time, not that I'm aware of.
They say the Romans had clay plate pipes for 1,000 years.
Kept leaking now. And they still work.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay.
We're not using clay.
We're not using clay.
do you have anything to say? I've heard from the other three about clay and copper and lead and, okay, move the Board of Commissioners award contracts for the replacement of water service laterals on Autumn View Drive, Autumn View Court, and Spring Hill Drive to HTI contractors in the overall amount of $95,247.00.
I'll second it since you've heard from the other three.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's what I do.
It's teamwork. Okay. Any questions or discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Got 5. Okay, now let's talk about replacing water main caps and blow-off valve assemblies at various locations within the Freedom District.
Okay, and we're here to request your approval to award a contract for the replacement of the water main caps and blow-off valve assemblies at 20 locations within the Freedom District service area to HCI contractors in the amount of $77,500. This award will be made via the competitively bid term contract. These locations were bid as a collective grouping to generate interest and competitive pricing. Bids were solicited from 4 contractors and proposals were received from 2 of these contractors. The proposals are summarized below and the bid is within the adopted budget.
I do have more encouraging news about this type of a project than the previous one. As Maureen said, the scope of work for this project includes the continuing proactive replacement of a total of 20 aged water main blow-up valve assemblies throughout the Freedom District. These also date to the 70s and 80s, and these valves are well beyond their expected service life of 30 years. These valve assemblies are typically located at the ends of roadways and cul-de-sacs where fire hydrants are not present. The valves are used as part of the Bureau's overall water flushing program to prevent stagnated water conditions. There are approximately 300 of these valve assemblies in the county system, with only about 1/3 or 100 dating to the 70s and 80s. With the completion of this project, we'll have 70 of those 100 taken care of. So we are well ahead of the curve as far as this project goes. And again, the low bid is an outstanding value for the overall scope of work with a unit cost of $3,875.
Is HTI just low bidding or is Mid-Atlantic not? I mean,
if you recall previous projects, HTI and Mid-Atlantic have been running neck and neck on a lot of these. I believe right now HTI is hungrier than
it seems like a very significant gap between the two.
It's a very good price for us.
Okay.
They're familiar with the system too, and you get an efficiency on that.
They are.
Oh, absolutely. No, but I mean, when you got a $30,000 difference, you know.
We have had recent bids where they were virtually $2,000
Right.
apart. So this was a real outcome for us.
Yep. Okay, move the Board of Commissioners award a contract for the replacement of the water main caps and blow-off valve assemblies, at 20 locations within the Freedom District service area to HTI contractors in the amount of $77,500 and once again, 0 cents. Motion second, any discussion on this? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Walker, thanks for sending a team from utilities to take that welding course. I believe your group had the only female welder. She was at the function. I appreciate they were very excited. I don't admire them if they have to weld into used sewer lines.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff, I think you may be coming up for somebody requesting approved budget transfer from the reserve for contingencies to facilities.
Morning, Commissioners. So we're before you today to request 2 approvals. First approval is going to be the budget transfer from the reserve contingencies to facilities budget. The reason we're requesting this is we had back on August 19th, 2021, which was a Thursday, roughly 8 o'clock. I remember like yesterday because I got the phone call. Pleasant Valley Fire Hall, Hazmat gave me a call. We had a 200-gallon oil tank down in the basement sprung a leak. With that happening, they came out, put some pigs out, sucked up all the oil. But what's going on now is the oil soaked down through the concrete, which then soaked down through the cracks of the concrete and infiltrated the soil, which contaminated the soil. So down in that basement, which really was a game changer, they had a sub pump down there, Commissioners, and the sub pump fed out to the drain leaders, which then fed out to the lower creek down below. So we obviously had to act quickly. So I met MDE out there on site the following day, Friday morning, and we had to get this thing remedied quickly, as it was a perfect storm, because that Saturday, like I said, I remember like yesterday, they were calling for flash floods, and we couldn't have this basement flood out and then all that oil go down into the creek, which we have a big problem on our hands. So I acted quickly, called a couple contractors locally to support this work. First contractor called was hang on one second, ACV. They're out of Baltimore. They met me that morning. We had to get an oil water separator up there quickly to, if that sub pump would kick on, it had to go through an oil water separator, then discharge out. So there was a couple things we had to do. This project took roughly 16 working days, crews of 4 techs out there. We had to jackhammer the floor up. We had to remediate all the soil. They had to take readings as they were digging all the soil out, had to send it to labs. We had to take the soil to the landfill. It was quite a task. So we're asking for your approval today for the transfer of the $88,312.02 to facilities to support the payment of the contractor who performed this work for us.
There was no insurance coverage to deal with any of this, or there was?
Good question.
Go ahead,
Yeah, if I
Bruce.
can, the county does have insurance. We have submitted a claim. That claim is being processed through risk management. So there is potential there. We will recover some of the funds.
Okay, bear with me. Ted, you want to add on to this?
Yeah, we have a $50,000 deductible. So even if we're successful recovering, it's going to be for the smaller portion of this.
But we have a potential of getting 50,000 back out of that 88,000.
No, 33.
33.
Oh, I apologize.
38, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, 38.
And way too soon to get too excited about how likely that is yet.
Ted, we never see you get excited about anything.
I just keep it
Happened at
inside.
the fire station?
Yeah, this happened at one of our rental properties out on Reinhardt Road.
Okay.
Yeah. We just responded.
Mhm.
Got it.
How
Kind of remember that
are
too.
we sure this won't happen again?
We've always done inspections on these rental properties. So we're gonna beef up our inspections on these oil tanks. I actually be going around getting a count of them and looking at the age and the structure of these tanks. And we're looking to replace in some of these next year's budget to a double wall, so we don't have this problem again.
When you say it's a rental property, is it a rental commercial or residential?
It's a residential rental property we purchased back in 1987.
And we still had the original equipment, that's why it failed or something.
Yeah, so it was original HVAC boiler system and everything.
Ted, you want to add?
Yeah, this is not what we're here for, but as long as this came up, something be good for you to think about. From time to time, we end up acquiring properties for one reason or another. And then sometimes there's a house in that property. And the thinking is, well, why don't we rent the house out? Things like this is one reason why you might say, no, we don't want to rent the house out. We don't want to be a landlord. So I'm not saying that this is always a yes or always a no, but there are things to think about when we end up in these situations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that.
Okay, so two-step process. First, transfer the money. Second is execute the money. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions on this one?
No, I mean, we got to do it.
Yeah.
It happened. So I move we approve resolution 2208 to transfer 88,312.02 from reserve for contingencies to DPW for the unbudgeted emergency environmental remediation that occurred on August the 19th.
2021.
And yeah, through October till y'all got done up there.
Okay, I will second that motion and transfer. Any conversation on that? All in favor?
Aye.
5.
And I'll move the Board of Commissioners approve the payment of $88,312.02 to ACV from the Bureau of Facilities operating budget. And thank you you were out there and you acted fast on it, did what you had to do.
Not a problem.
I mean, I know you're doing it kind of hanging out there. Well, just got to clean it up.
Yeah.
How we're going to pay for it, you worry about that later. But
Yeah,
Okay, I will second that.
At least it was August and not January 8th when it's probably going to be -12 or something.
I will second that
Yeah.
motion along with the comments that have been made. Any other discussion? on
The only
that?
thing
Oh,
I-
wait. That's discussion.
Yeah,
Oh,
the only
please.
thing I've got, ACV, you have a call list or something that you go down?
What happens is in that situation, I reached out to MDE. They gave me a list of preferred contractors that handle this type of work.
Okay.
And I went first here in Carroll County. That didn't work out. Nobody called me back as quickly as ACV. So I had to jump on it. So I had to get it done.
Cool. All right. I'm just curious.
Yep.
All right.
Appreciate the leadership, appreciate the action taken. Any other conversation, discussion? Seeing here none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, gentlemen,
All right, thank you.
absolutely. We're now moving into our open admin, but before that, Chris, is there any public comments out there?
No one is called in to join us today.
Okay,
Very disappointing.
That is disappointing.
no public comment. Open admin, we have first, a land closed minutes, from November 18th for land acquisition. Please review and need a,
Motion to approve the minutes of November 19th is what I have on my
Yes.
phone.
so is it the
Second.
ninth?
Is it the 19th?
It's 19th on here.
Bear with me. November,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, the 19th.
no,
Motion to approve the minutes from,
no, that's
What
right.
is-
The
It's
19th
supposed
is
to be the 18th.
the 18th
Oh,
supposed
it's
to
a
be?
typo on the page.
Okay, so we,
All right.
It's also a typo on the closed minute.
yeah, no, no,
both of them.
okay, so
Yeah.
bear with me. On the minutes themselves, there's a typo saying the 19th. It should, I
Yes.
believe, be the 18th, which is Thursday.
That's correct.
Oh, wow.
Motion to approve the minutes from closed meeting on the 18th of November.
I'll second.
Okay.
And correct it to the 18th on the minutes.
Please.
Mr. Burke was
As
ahead
well.
on himself.
And the closing statement.
All right.
Okay, got the motion, got the second. We're going the 18th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Going into any other open admin before we go through agenda reviews, and then we'll be going into closed for a little bit. Anything else for open admin?
Happy holidays.
I don't think so. I brought up the challenge of the religious facility up in my district. Dick, you're familiar a little bit with that, although I need to get with you at some point today to bring you up to date. Again, you are going to see some emails coming across that it's going to the Board of Commissioners. I would appreciate letting the proper people do what they need to do there. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Oh, okay. Let us go through agendas. Ms. Wanda, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Monday, December 6th, we have our tree lighting at 5 p.m. Look forward to having the audience attend and opportunity to wish everyone again a happy holidays and welcoming the holiday season, and to have a very Merry Christmas soon to be. On Tuesday, December 7th, I will be attending the Ag Board meeting at 7 p.m. On Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we will be four of us going down to Mako. It'll be split between, I think, the Tuesday and Wednesday. Just let the world know. Wednesday, December 8th, I will be attending the Good Scout Breakfast, not Commissioner Lance, which will honor Greg Callert at the Pleasant Valley Fire Hall. At 8 a.m., we will all, well, four of us will be attending Mako. A chamber holiday connection at 3 p.m. Commissioner Boucher will be attending. I will be doing the virtual Governor's Workforce Development Board at 3:30 on that Wednesday. Thursday and Friday continuation of Mako, where four of us will be attending, and then on Sunday, Commissioner Boucher has the podcast. The following week, on Tuesday, December 14th, Commissioner Wance will be attending the Planning Commission. There'll be a luncheon afterwards for the Planning and Zoning at Maggie's, where Commissioner Wance will be attending. And then he being Commissioner Wance, will be attending the General Federation of Women's Clubs, the GFWC 110th Anniversary Luncheon, because he was told to attend this by your aunt?
Yes.
Your aunt.
And
Yeah.
if anybody wants to join me that day, please feel free. I was threatened.
Information on that.
I was threatened.
He was directed.
Yeah.
Give me some information.
I will.
I
But
might
yeah,
be there.
I mean, it's in Westminster, so
Yeah.
you and I can tag team that.
No, actually, no, not that, but
No, not that. Yeah.
I don't.
on
believe-
Friday, I apologize. Let's go back a second. On the 4th, there's a historical society that I'm presenting at
you
1
miss
p.m. Historical Society Christmas and new executive director event that I'll be attending. Vivian has the details on that. Okay, on the 15th, Carroll Community College Board of Trustees meeting where Commissioner Wentz will be attending.
Yeah, that's
And
virtual.
That is virtual. That
Yep.
okay. Microsoft Teams meeting. That's virtual. I will be attending the Fort Meade Alliance President's reception later that afternoon. Thursday morning, I will be attending the BWI Partnership Breakfast. Freeman Rabowski is the guest speaker. We're doing a proclamation for him, recognizing the work he has done for Maryland and Carroll Countyans. The man is just an amazing. There's only one of him that's out there, kind of like the Dr. Scalia of our state in another world, but he's the best. We will go into closed session and open session. Let's see. Public hearing 2021 electrical licensing update. Public, BG's preparations for winter and customer resources will be discussed by BGE coming in. There'll be a FY21 audit and comprehensive annual financial report that Mr. Burke, Rob, one each will be presenting along with our Cone Resnick accountant. Water and sewer fall amendment discussion where Ms. Eisenberg and Price will be presenting. Citizens UB Solar, I think we will be prepared to make a decision on that, what was discussed earlier today. Approval to issue RFP Connect Maryland. Mr. Ripper will be discussing and looking for a decision on that. Solid waste funding from DPW, Cliff Angle will be presenting. We will then go into closed for land acquisition at 1 p.m. that afternoon. There's a Maryland Sustainable Growth Awards. It'll be virtual that I will be attending. There's a potential at this point to go into another open session that afternoon, which would start also at 1 p.m. At 4 p.m., Exploration Commons open house, where we are all invited to attend. 4 of us at this point are attending. And then on Friday at 3 p.m. is the Exploration Commons ribbon cutting, where all 5 of us are scheduled to attend that at 3 p.m. On Saturday, Wreaths Across America. I know it's going to be across the entire county and there's lots of events. I know I'll be attending the one in New Windsor at St. Paul's United Methodist Church.
I'll be at Ward's Chapel.
Okay, so Commissioner Weaver will be at Ward's Chapel.
I'll be at Pleasant Valley.
Commissioner Wentz will be at Pleasant Valley. Probably back at Westminster.
You
Where
should
were
go.
we?
You should check on Meadow Branch because that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's where we were last time.
Yeah, so
where-
check on that.
Yeah, and that's where we were. So,
One this year again too.
Yeah, they're all. I
Right.
mean, they're,
are you attending any?
Normally I hear from the Babylon Vault, but I haven't. But then Hogs and Heroes was mentioned. They want me to participate on the one up on 140. So I got to double check to find out where they'll plug me into.
Okay. And those that are still listening, Wreaths Across America is just a wonderful event for anyone in our community to participate. It brings honor to those that have served and are buried here in Carroll County. On Sunday, I will have the podcasts December 19th. Okay. Did I miss anything, Miss Wanda?
No.
Roberta? Okay. We are going to go into closed at this time for land acquisition. I need a motion to go into closed and then recess till 1 p.m. where we will go into open for residential text and map discussion.
Commissioner, before we do that, 1 second, just for agenda orientation purposes, we had on the agenda a close for legal advice.
Right.
That has been canceled. Will be scheduled for a
And is that because Mr. Burke was not prepared?
Correct.
Okay, just, you know,
It's because because the most valuable attorney we have in the county is retired.
the most valuable, is that you? The most valuable attorney? I'm just, you know. Man,
I'll
that
make
is
a
a,
motion.
that is a deep shade of red you got there, Mr. Burke. That is seriously deep shade.
It's getting deeper.
Wow. Mr. Swam, if you can get a picture of Mr. Burke at this point in time, you will see the redness
hard
I've
on
never
you.
seen before. It's almost like a maroon.
I have plenty.
It's
He's got plenty. He said he got plenty.
Go ahead there.
I'll make a motion to go into close for land acquisition.
Second.
And then I'll make a motion that we recess until
Wait,
one.
don't I need to like vote on the
sorry,
first?
sorry, guys.
You wanna vote on
Okay.
that First, one so you can eat lunch.
I got a motion, I got a second, going into close. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion that after that closed session, we go into recess until 1 o'clock.
Okay, I got a motion and second on that. Any discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Wanda.
You're welcome.